So yun, welcome to new video. My name is Jericho Kirby Alejandre. Then yun, ating babasahin tong at intindihin tong Active Directory. So yun, umpisa na tayo. Learning objectives. After reading this information sheet, students must be able to define briefly what Active Directory is, describe what three primary types of objects that Active Directory provides. Describe what happens when you log in into Active Directory network. Define what domain controller is. Describe PORES. Describe a domain. Define briefly what a server role is. Install Active Directory. So, yun nga. Nakaraan ginawa na namin itong Active Directory. At dito ka gagawa ng mga rules. Yung ginawa namin dito is yung dito sa may Active Directory is yung pag-add ka ng role, then gagawa ka ng domain, sabi yung mga domain, then user, ganon, mga group, ganon ang ginawa namin sa Active Directory sa pag-add ng role. So yan, introduction. In Windows NT, administrator were introduced to the concept of domain. Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS, builds on the concept by creating a dynamic, easily accessible structure through which directory and management information can be stored and accessed centrally throughout an organization. By using ADDS, you create a structure for managing your equipment and the people who use that equipment, which is helpful feature for all but the smallest of operations. By using Active Directory as a whole, you have access to several management tools including group policy, GP, the ability to put groups inside groups multiple times, and an online directory of users, computers, printers, and contact that you can access easily through the Windows user interface. Although you certainly can operate a Windows-based network without Active Directory deployed. So yun nga. So gagawa nito is magagawa ng mga user group policies. So ano to yung parang pwede mong gamitin to yung itong Active Directory sa yung mga ganitong ginagawa namin sa kumpanya, ganun. Kuwari marami kay user. Then sa domain, yung sa mga domain pa yun yung parang pinaka nung inyong sabi doon add yung mga user, mga makikita mo doon yung pag-add ng user group. Sabay yun. In this information sheet, you are able to configure and install Active Directory. So makikita naman natin dito kung paano magawa ng Active Directory. So mamaya may step by step yun. What is Active Directory and why should I care? Active Directory is the brain of a Windows Server network. Siya daw isang pinagmumulaan, parang may hawak server yung taga-respond sa mga client. It is a database that keeps track of a huge amount of stuff, gives you a centralized way to manage all our network, machine, users, and resources. Yun nga yung parang yung buong server, din marami kayong empleyado na doon makikita din, i-manage na lang ng isang domain, ng isang Active Directory doon, at may lalagin doon lahat ng user. Type of that Active Directory provides: user and groups, services, i.e. email, etc., resources, printer, shared folders, etc. Then yun, makikita mo dito yung mga types, yung user and groups, yung mga pangalan ng mga kliyente mo. Then, kuwari, meron silang mga kuwari, pagpalagay natin team, pwede ka magawa doon ng groups, yung pagsasama-samahin mo sa isang group, kung team, kuwari, team 1 sila, ganun. Then yung services, yung mga email, lalagay mo din yung mga email doon. Then, kailangan mo din ng mga password dito na kailangan mo tandaan lahat. Password and username. Then, resources, printer, shared folders. Yun, pwede ka din magawa dito ng yung field query yung sa lahat ng computer, pwedeng iisa na lang yung para iisang ano na lang query server, doon na lang bagos lahat yung nakakonect sa server, lahat ng client. Then para iisa silang printer, din sa shared folder, pwede kang mag-share ng folder, query nasa ano ko lang, nasa server, then query sa PC7, ganon. Ilalagay mo na lang dun yung folder, ipapasa mo doon, madali lang. These items are objects in Active Directory database. As a matter of fact, every time you log into a corporate network, you're using an Active Directory. So yan, makikita mo yan, yung parang pinaka-server at isang user. Then pag naglagin si user sa domain controller, then pwede nyo nang makontrol lang isang user na yun, yung parang pinaka-PC ginagamit ng client. So yun, login, request, domain, and pag yung client lang naman na nagre-request yan, then yung domain naman ang magre-respond. What is domain controller? A domain controller is a machine that runs Active Directory services. Think of it as a boss of your network. Yun, yung parang ang pinaka-boss nyo. Then siya nang bahalang mag-control ng mga sa PC mo, sa user, ganun. Sabi yun. Basta yun ang pinaka-server nyo, yung domain yan. Ayun ang pinaka-name, domain yun. Parang pinagmumulan na lahat. You may have multiple domain controller that all have copies on the same Active Directory. Yun, sabihin na nga, yung parang isa na lang lahat ng PC nakakonect sa isang domain. Yung parang siya na yung alam niya at pwede niyang pasahan ng mabilis lahat ng iisang galaw. Change may made into one database to domain controller stock back and forth. They shared change that way they receive in a process called replication. Yun, pwede mo, yun nga yung pagpapasa sa lahat. Sabi, mag-replicate na yun sa lahat ng papasahan ng domain. So, what is domain? It is a logical group of computers that share a central directory database. The machine is all named with part of domain name like itsmeismael.com, also called a suffix, and registered in the Active Directory database so they can be managed. So, ang pinakapangalan ng domain niya, it's me is Ismael. Si Ismael ang pinaka-domain niya. Then makikita niyo sa pinaka-picture, makita mo yung parang mga user. Yan. Ayan yung mga user, yung 1, 2, 3, yung may mga .com. Then, sa paggagawa ng domain, inid din ng mga .com, okay, mga .ph, mga ano pa ba ganyan, basta yung mga may .com, yung mga ganon. Kailangan nyo paggagawa ng domain o kaya paggagawa ng parang pinaka-email. Forest is comprised of all domains in your enterprise. Your forest may only one domain. Yun yung doon, may lalagay mo din yung domain mo. Yan, makikita nyo dyan sa baba yung pinaka-domain sa may forest. Users also part of namespace. Example, your email address is a part of domain namespace. Info at itsmeismael.com. Ayun yung pinaka-pangalan ng domain niya, yung itsmeismael. It's me, Ismael. Note, email. Like login, also called user principal names, when used to log into a server 2008 R2 network. Ayun yung pinakagagamitin nyo, yung server 2008 R2 network. Ayun yung pinakagagamitin nyo. Makikita ng mga pagpipilian yung mga server. Then pipiliin nyo lang ay server 2008 R2 network. What is server rule? Server rule is a major job that server can perform. So, ayun, yung it's recommended that a server not have too many roles. So, yun, yung pag-add ng roles, yung parang mayroong pa dun yung mga i-install sa pag-ano ng roles. A domain controller usually has only two roles: Active Directory Domain Services, Domain Name Services. Ayun yung sa, yung sa domain controller. Ayun lang yung dalawang yan: Active Directory Domain Services, Domain Name Services. Ayun yung pinaka-name ng role nila. If you are trying to create some other roles, you can use another domain controller to prevent our population of roles in a single domain controller that may cause less productivity. So, yon. Domain name service. It is a service provided by a server that allows you to find other computers in your network. It is a service provided by a server that allows you to find other computers in your network. So, yun, makikita naman yun ng pinaka-domain. Makita yung name ng domain na yun na makikita yung domain nyo at inyong domain. Makikita nyo yung name ng domain. Dapat tinatandaan yung name yung domain para makita nyo agad. Allows you to type a friendly name of a machine instead of its IP address, allowing your client to get the IP address from the DNS server and go find the resources. Note: without DNS, Active Directory will not work. Windows Server 2008 R2, it's recommended that you integrate DNS with Active Directory. So, ito na yung step by step yung pag-i-install ng Active Directory. First one, installation. Open Server Manager and click on Roles. This will bring up the role summary on the right side where you can click on the Add Roles link. So, makikita nyo yon. Yung kaunahan yun, yung roles. Then, pag kinalik nyo, lalabas sa gilid yung Add Roles at Remove Roles. Doon tayo po. Ang pipindot nyo doon yung Add Roles, yung nasa taas na. Then, lalabas na doon yung mga Active Directory Manager, ganun. Select server role, check Active Directory domain services, then click install. From the list, you will be told that you need to add some features. Click on the add required features button and click next to move on. Magano lang yan pag nag-install ka lang ng isang roles, meron yan sunod-sunod na pagpindot. So, para may install mo yan. Then, parang i-confirm mo lang configuration. Ganun. Select server role. Then, pag yun i-add required features mo na. Then, a brief introduction to Active Directory will be displayed as well as a few links to additional resources. You can just click next to skip past here and click install to start installing the binaries for Active Directory. Then yun, yung may configuration pa nga, confirm installation. When the installation is finished, you will be shown a message of successful configuration. Just click close pagtapos mo na. Then, pwede mo yung close. Then, configuration. Open Server Manager. Expand. May makita dyan parang plus sign para may expand. Then, roles. Click plus sign and click on Active Directory Domain Services. On the right side, click on the Run the Active Directory Domain Services Installation Wizard dcpromo.exe link that show in figure. So, yun nga. Isi-search nyo lang doon sa my Windows yung dcpromo.exe. Then, doon yung parang yung configuration din ng paggawa ng domain. It will show another wizard, this time to configure the settings for your domain. Click next to continue. So, yan, kita nyo naman sa picture yung step by step para magawa. The message that is shown now relates to older clients that do not support the new cryptographic algorithm supported by Server 2008 R2. These are used by default in Server 2008 R2. Click next to move on. Then yan. Then, pag napindot nyo na yung Windows Server 2008 R2, then pwede na kayo mag-next. Pipiliin nyo lang talaga yung Windows Server 2008 R2. Then next, choose to create a new domain in a new forest. Then yan, yung dalawa yun, exist forest, create a new domain in a new forest. Ang pipiliin lang yung create. Then next, pag napindot nyo na, now you can name your domain in the lesson. I will be using a .com suffix. Then yun nga, kailangan yung, ayun yung pinaka-name ng domain nyo. Yan. It's me, Ismael. Then kayo nang bahala kung ano gusto nyong i-name. Basta hindi mawawala yung mga .com. Ganun. Then, yun. Then, pag tapos na kayo dyan sa paglalagay ng name nyo sa inyong domain, pwede na kayo mag-next. Then, ito na. 6. Change forest function level to server 2008 2. Kasi, yan, dyan. Dyan yung makikita yung pinaka-forest. Yan, yung Windows Server 2008 2. Pipindutin nyo lang to. Yan, yung arrow down na yan. Then, lalabas na dyan yung mga server. Then, pipindutin nyo lang yung Windows Server 2008 R2. Then, next. Then, include DNS in our installation as this will allow us to have an AD integrated. DNS zone. When you click next, you will be prompted with a message. Just click yes to continue. Ganyan. Dapat naka-check yung DNS server. Then next. Oops. 8. A delegation for this DNS server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found or it does not run Windows DNS server. If you are integrating with an existing DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a delegation to this DNS server in the parent zone to ensure reliable name resolution from outside the domain itsmeismael.com. Otherwise, no action is required. If you are installing a forest root domain controller that is using Active Directory integrated DNS, you typically do not need to be concerned about this warning message. Then, pag lumabas naman yan, i-yes nyo lang. Then, magiging okay yan. Sabihin, pag next nyo, lalabas yan. Then, i-yes nyo lang. Warning, message for Active Directory domain service installation. You will need to choose a place to store log files. It is a best practice to store the database in sysvol folder on OneDrive and the log files on separate drive. But since this is in a lab environment, just leave them all on the same drive. Then yan, Active Directory Domain Services Installation Wizard. Then, yung Windows NTDS. Then, next nyo lang. Assign password for administrator account that will be used when this domain controller is started in directory services restore mode. Choose a strong Active Directory restore mode password and click next twice to continue configuration. Then yan, lalagay nyo lang yung password na hindi nyo makalimutan dahil napaka-importante nyan. Huwag nyo kakalimutan yan. Kaya, yun, yung pinakatanda nyo talaga na hindi nyo makalimutan. Lalagay nyo yung password yan. Then, password ko, confirm password nyo lang. 11. Review the summary of the configure services. Then, pagtapos na kayo maglagay ng password, next nyo lang yan. Then, you will be able to see what components are being installed by looking in the following box. If the reboot on completion checkbox was not checked, you will proceed to manual reboot show in figure. So, yun, kung gusto nyong wag i-check yung reboot, magmamanual kayong mag-reboot sa inyong PC, or mas maganda na rin i-check nyo yung reboot on completion. Para pagkatapos niyang mag-loading, pagkatapos niyang mag-installing, magdidiretso reboot na siya, then wala na kayong ibang gagawin. Hintayin nyo lang ulit magbukas, then ilalagay nyo dun yung pinaka-domain nyo, then password. Then yan, pagkatapos nyan, pipinish nyo na. Then, ano ba ito? So, yun na. Nakagawa na kayo ng isang domain. Then, yun na. Tapos na pala doon. Kala ko may kadugsong pa yun. Teka lang. Ito, terms and definitions. Active Directory is the brain of a Windows server network. It is a database that keeps track of a huge amount of stuff and gives us centralized way to manage all our network machine, user, and resources. Yun nga yung Active Directory, yung pinaka-brain ng lahat, na yung gagawan mo yan ng mga network machine, users, and resources, yung mga groups, ganun. Yan yung pinaka-centralized, yung Active Directory. Then, domain controller is a machine that runs Active Directory services. Ayun yung parang naghahawak sa pinaka-Active Directory services. Domain is a logical groups of computers that share a central directory database. The machine is all named with part of domain name, like it's me ismael.com, also called a suffix, and register in the Active Directory database so they can be managed. So yun, gagawa lang kayo ng pangalan ng pinaka-domain nyo. Ang kuwari akin jericho.com, ganon. Yung kanya it's me ismael. Yan yung pinaka-name ng domain nyo. Kailangan may .com talaga sa huli, kundi hindi gagana. Then yun. Yung forest naman is comprised of all the domains in your enterprise. Your forest may only one domain. Kailangan daw may isa lang ang domain na gagawin mo. So the server role is a major job that a server can perform. Sabi yun yung mga yung server role, yung ginawa mo. Domain name service is a service provided by a server that allows you to find other computers in your network. So yun, yung parang ilalagay mo yung domain name para magka-connect yung client, para yung ma-connect yung client sa domain, para pwedeng control ng domain yung isang client, yung client PC, para pati pag nagawa ka ng user, nandun na rin yung lahat, para madali mo nang makontrol ang isang user or client. Sabay. Ito po, reference. Oops. So, ayun lang. Sabay, nandun naman ng step by step na paggagawa ng Active Directory or domain. So, papakita ko na lang ulit sa inyo kung paano paggagawa. Yan, punta lang kayo sa role. Mag-add role kayo. Then, select nyo Active Directory Domain Services. Check nyo lang yan. Install. Then, punta kayo, select services, sabi yan, add required features. Then, pagka-install nyo, i-wait nyo lang yan para gumana. Then, pagkatapos nun, close nyo pagkatapos nyo install. Then, pag magagawa na kayo sa Active Directory, sa domain, lang yun, i-expand nyo lang sa plus sign, mag-expand na yun. Then pagkatapos nyo gawa ng Active Directory, kapag gawa na kayo, DDC promo nyo naman, search nyo sa pinaka Windows nyo para makapagawa na kayo ng pinaka domain name. Pag nilagay nyo, lalabas na yung wizard na yan. Then next nyo lang. Then next. Then pagkatapos nun, pinutin nyo yung create a new domain in a new forest. Ayun yung paggagawa ng domain name. Then pagka next mo na, lalabas na dyan yung pinaka gagawin mong name. Ikaw nang bahala dyan, lalagyan mo na ng .com. Then pipiliin nyo yung Windows Server 2008 R2. Pagkagawa nyo ng domain name, lalabas na yun doon. Then yun, pagkatapos doon, yung DNS server, check nyo yun. Then next. Then pagka yan, pag may labas na ganyan, i-ayos nyo lang para gumana. Then yan, yung nakalagay na yan, go auto na yan na Windows NTDS na, next nyo na lang. Then next yung password. Then confirm password, yung hindi nyo makakalimutan na password. Then yan, pagtapos na kayo doon, next nyo lang. Then, yan na. And then, mag-installing na yung group policy, yung pinaka-domain name mo. Then, wait mo na lang. Then, check mo yung reboot para mag-auto na. Para ilalagin mo na lang yung domain mo pag nag-restart. Then, password kung kakalimutan nyo. Then, ayun na. Tapos na yun doon. So, yun lang. Thank you for watching. Sana may natutunan kayo. So, yun na. Active Directory.